Hello folks, today let's learn about reduce function. So let's say we have an array and I want to reduce the array to a single value. Let's say array have multiple elements and I just want to reduce it to a single value. So how can we do that? So for that we have a thing called reduce method. So let's first of all look at the syntax, then I will give you the example. So it's look like this. So let's say I have an array and I want to reduce it. So I will have two parameters. One is the callback function and another is the initial value. Okay, so what is callback function? The callback function will look like this. It will basically tell that how each element in the array should be processed. Okay, so callback function can have maximum 4 arguments. Out of them, 2 are mandatory. One is accumulator and other is the current value. So current value is basically the current element of the array which we are processing. Okay, and accumulator is a thing that we are storing the value. Let's say we are iterating over all the elements, then the accumulator will store the value. Let's say this operation is being performed in the callback function of adding the accumulator to the current value. So whenever we are calling the function over each element, then it will keep on adding the value. Okay, so basically like a loop. So this is the case, and the other two arguments which are not mandatory but just for letting you know, the other two arguments in the callback function can be the index of the current element and the array itself. Okay, so just let me tell you that this name is not mandatory. You can name it anything, like you can write accumulator as the total and the current value is the current item of the array. Any name you can give, but the order matters. Let's say you write current value here and accumulator on the second position, then the first argument will always be considered as the accumulator for storing the total of the operation which we are performing in the callback function. Okay, so it will get clear when I give you the example. So before that, just it will look like this after combining the callback function in the parameter and the initial value. So what is this initial value? Initial value is the value which we are setting to the accumulator. So if I set the initial value to 0, so it will keep on adding the current value to the accumulator, and the accumulator is 0. Let's say accumulator is not 0, initial value is not 0, it is 1. So it will give the result of the total operation of the array elements plus 1 because the initial value is not 0. Okay, it will get clear with the example. Let me give you the example now. Let me make a simple array with just 3 elements. So now let me give you example. Let's say I have an array. Let's have some elements 1 2 3 4. It's a very simple array, and my ask is that I want to reduce this array into a single value which is the sum of all the elements of this array. So how can we proceed? We can use the reduce method in this scenario. So let's see that. Let me give the name of the final output as that result. So result is equal to array dot reduce method. Now I have just told you the syntax. So what is the syntax? The first parameter of the reduce method will be the callback function. Okay, so the callback function, and the callback function can have 4 parameters. Okay, so first of all let's frame the syntax. So this is our callback function, and the second parameter will be the initial value. Initial value is of what? It is of accumulator parameter of the callback function. Okay, so let me set the initial value to 0, and it is option. As I told you, it is not mandatory to have the value of the initial value. Okay, and I also let me put console for checking what we are getting into result. Now let's go inside the callback function. So callback function is the place where we are defining what are we going to do with the each of the element of the array, how it should be processed, basically the logic. Okay, so the reduce method will always start with the first element of the array, so it will start from here. Okay, and it will apply the callback function after each iteration. Okay, let's say this element is done, then it will go to this element and it will apply the callback function again, and it will accumulate the result in the accumulator, and the second parameter current value, it will take up the current element. Okay, so let me write it here. And as I told you that this accumulator and current value are mandatory parameters, but current index and array are optional. You can use it based on the conditions, based on the logic you want or not. Okay, and Also the order, the accumulator, you can give it any name, but the order should be like this only. So the first parameter will always be considered as the accumulation, where the result will be accumulated. Okay, so let me give it the name of total, and the current value, let's call it current item, current item of the array. Okay, so now the logic part of the callback function. So let's say this, as I want the sum, so this callback function, I want it to return the sum of total plus current item. Now here, current item, let's say first of all the reduce method is called and it will go to the first element of the array. Okay, so 1 is the first element, so current item is 1. Okay, and the initial value of total is 0. This 0 is the initial value of what? Initial value accumulator. So this is a total, so initially the total is 0. Okay, so addition of 0 plus 1, it will be 1, and the next iteration it will be 2, current item will be 2, so it will be 2 plus the already existing result was 1, so 2 plus 1 3. So similarly addition will keep on going. Okay, so it is very simple. So what result we are expecting here? We will expect the result to be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, which is 10. So let's see whether we are getting the result. Okay, syntax error. Okay, we are missing it something here. What is it? Think about it. Total plus current item missing after argument. Okay, after argument, reduce is ending here. This is the callback function and this is the inside part of it. Okay, we have put it 2 times. Did you got it? We have put the curly brace, closing curly brace 2 times. So if I run it again, you can see the result is 10. So what is 10? It is the summation. Summation is happening. Basically, like we have a for loop, something like that. Every time it is hitting the callback function on each element and it is doing this, performing this operation. Now the other thing, what is happening if I put the 0 as 1? So initial value of the total will be 0. So basically we are starting with 1 itself. So after 1 it will take the current value of the array, which is 1. So it will be 1 plus 1 2. So the result will be 11 this time because initial value is also present. You can see the result is 11. And what, as I told you, it is an optional parameter. So if I remove it, what is gonna happen? It will print, let's see what is it is printing. It will print 10 because in that scenario, what will happen? It will take the total as the first element of the array. Okay, so in that scenario, when the initial value is not present, so the accumulator will take the initial value as the first element of the array, which is in this case is 1. So the first element is 1, so the accumulator value is 1. In the current item, it will then start from the second element. Okay, it will start from the second element, the callback function hitting. Okay, so it will iterate from the second element and the first element is already present. So basically the result will be same, which was earlier when it is 0. Okay, so this was all about the reduce method in JavaScript and I hope you understood the concept. So do try to apply this whenever it is required in your business logic. It is a very good thing to, like, we are reducing the array according to our needs. We can reduce, this is a very simple array, but we can have a complicated array as well, which have multiple elements, and we can perform very complicated operations as well, not just the summation. Also you can try to use these two optional arguments as well, which are part of the callback function. I haven't used it, but you can try, and you can also let me know if you didn't got how to use them. So current index is basically the index. We are talking about the index of the element of the array which we are referring, and array is, this is the complete array itself. So it will take up at the complete array in the argument itself, and we can then perform the logic here inside the callback function. Okay, so I hope you understood this. Thank you.